a COO Branding Case Study this week. COO, by the way, just stands for Chief of Operations. And I'm featuring a program alumnus, Michelle Lucherini. This is a great insight into how my On Her Terms brand program works to help a female expert like Michelle, who is pragmatic and logical, build up some important confidence about the creative side of her branding using all of the logical, fact-based work that goes on in any quality brand strategy program. If that sounds a little bit like you, then you probably want to stick around. Try not to boob the microphone.
Okay.
To help her build, oh my God, that's such a long sentence. Why do I do this to myself? Why?
Okay. I hope you all like that, by the way, because you know how much I hated that. Okay.
Upgrade in this part of the program. It's not a program. Okay. Do you remember Pogs? My little sister used to be obsessed with Pogs. Right.
Information can blah, blah, blah.
I need to sneeze. Ooh, bless me. If you've always wondered if brand and strategy is nonsense or maybe unnecessary fluff that you just don't need in your operational business, then by the end of this episode, you will see how my On Her Terms branding program worked out for returning client Michelle Lucherini to help her build up a lot of confidence about showing up more strategically so that she can get to the next level of her business. Here she is now.
I'm Michelle Lucherini, an outsourced operations director, and I work with B2B service-based business owners. So that could be coaches, consultants, membership site owners. And I take their shed load of ideas and inspiration, turn it into an actionable plan, and help them stay focused until their vision becomes a reality and their work life becomes a whole lot more enjoyable.
Michelle, what makes you an expert in your field?
I have a degree in business administration, but I also have over 15 years of experience in commercially focused roles. So what that looks like is I worked in the corporate world as the right-hand woman to a business that turned over 25 million pounds a year. I as well have been supporting multiple fast-growing online business owners over the past 7 years since I've started my own business. And in both of these cases, I've gained extensive experience managing large-scale projects, operationalizing strategies and visions, ensuring productivity, efficiency, and most importantly, profitability, and of course, finding solutions to pressing problems. So on top of this, all of my clients are visionaries, and what that means is they need me as their pragmatist BFF, as I like to say. I hold you accountable at every step of the way. I ask the hard questions. I say no to something if it's not going to be right for your business. And I even come out with my trusty wooden spoon if you need a bit of a smack. So there's a bunch of no nonsense talk. And my clients love that because sometimes, let's face it, people on their team tend to pander to their every whim. But for me, it's about staying focused and clear on what's going to matter to help you achieve your vision.
So be honest with me then, why did you choose to work with me on your brand and strategy? And what kind of expectations did you have beforehand? So specifically what I mean there is, what did you think your biggest branding challenges were before we got started?
The reason I chose to work with Laura and helping me with my branding strategy is that luckily for me, I've known her for quite some time now. But I took a risk several years ago and said, let's do a branded photo shoot. And this was for my first website at the time. It was amazing. It was so out of the box and I don't know, just really captured the essence of me. And I got so many great compliments on what we did. I then went and got a new website and I asked Laura to do another branded photo shoot. And those again were outstanding. So I just knew that she could take the visuals from how the website designer and the logo designer saw what we were doing and translate that into how I should show up personally. When I first started working with Laura, as I mentioned there, I had just gotten a new website. We had done the branded photos. The website looked at the business, it was fabulous, but I was still questioning, how do I speak to my ideal client? Am I even really super clear on who my ideal client is? And it was kind of missing that layer. It looked visually stunning. The words were good on the page, or they appeared to be good on the page, but was it really attracting the right people? And was I clearly conveying what I did, who I served, the transformation I provided? And that was not just on the website, but when I show up online in social, when I'm talking to people at networking events, just all across the board, there was that missing piece of translating the beautiful visual aspect of it into that meatier layer of what my, personal brand was all about.
You may have seen before here on the show that I am a massive fan of creating behind the scenes content. I got Michelle to record a series of diary cams while she was doing the program so that we could see what it feels like firsthand from her perspective. Let's flash back in time to Michelle beginning this part of the journey.
In the 5 years of business, I've never really sat down and looked at what my brand is, what it means, and how I translate that into my marketing. So I'm really looking forward to working on this with Laura and all the various aspects of brand that's going to involve. And the ultimate end goal is that when I'm creating content, whether that be for, fortnightly emails or blog content, video content, whatever that might be, it's truly on brand and it sets me apart in the marketplace. I'm right at the beginning of this program, and I have a bit of a mix of emotions. I would say I'm really excited. I know this is something I need to do for my business, but I'm also worried, nervous maybe is the right word, because I know that Laura's here to support me, but it is going to be a lot of hard work. And for me, this doesn't sit in my comfort zone. And so I know Laura's going to ask me questions and make me think about things that are really going to stretch my capabilities. So that does make me a little bit nervous, stroke worried. And I've just looked through the scope that Laura has set out for the program. And like I say, I think I've just said it there. I'm really excited. It looks all encompassing. It looks like we're going to evaluate and discover things that I never would have thought of as part of my brand. And so I'm really excited to see how that really develops for me, rather than doing everything surface level like I have done thus far. This deep dive, I think, is going to make a huge difference. The first part of the program is to fill in a quite lengthy discovery workbook that Laura sent me. I'm about to go do that now. And actually, I'm really excited about that. That suits my personality to a T. I love filling in forms. I know in my head a lot about my business. So I don't think this is going to be a hard task, although I haven't looked through all the questions yet. And knowing Laura, there'll be some curveballs in there where she'll really make me think and question aspects of my business. But actually, I'm really looking forward to this first part. And I can't wait to see what this brings up in my first session with Laura in a few weeks' time.
One of the stages after this was exploring even deeper, and Michelle decided that she wanted to upgrade this module of the program to have me and my team help her in interviewing some key business stakeholders to get a really objective read on how they thought her brand and business was progressing, but also to get an understanding of how she's currently being perceived by the people closest to her. Here's how she felt about this.
Hi, it's Michelle here again. Here's my update on the latest from the program. Since my last check-in, we have gotten right into the work. This has made me feel very excited and super confident. I have absolutely loved that Laura and her team have taken care of interviewing the sample of brand stakeholders we identified together. Not only was this a weight off of my schedule, it made me feel that it was done properly and professionally. Laura has got me thinking differently about researching indirect and direct competitors. I'll be honest, this makes me feel really intrigued. I'm curious to learn more about my competition And I feel Laura's way of doing this is going to be absolutely spot on. See you in the diary cam next time.
One of the modules we get into on the program is achieving a more precise understanding about how a brand compares to the rest of the marketplace and the competition. It's this part that really helped Michelle gain confidence, particularly with her positioning within her market. Here she is again.
Hi, it's Michelle Lucherini here again. I'm all done now with the competition part of the program, and I have to say that initially I felt total imposter syndrome. But after doing the deep dive analysis portion, I definitely feel way more confident about the skills and experience that I bring for my clients and for my audience in comparison to others out there. Prior to taking Laura's lead on this, I have to say that I felt pretty ambivalent about my competition. I've always followed the belief that since I'm a personal brand, I always need to follow what feels right for me rather than use my competition as any kind of yardstick. Particularly, I felt quite challenged, I guess with the brand positioning section of this exercise. We had to map out my brand against competition, and it kind of was on different axes in a graph almost kind of thing. And it felt kind of awkward because it's not how my brain processes information. So I pushed back on Laura, and bless her, she totally had to deal with my temper tantrum on that one, but we made it in the end. Now I have this really rich competitive information at my fingertips. Laura and I have been figuring out what this means for my position in the marketplace. I can see how this was a super useful exercise and 100% how this information is going to start to inform and shape my brand.
Here we are 6 months after completing the program, Michelle. I'd love to know what you think the results have been for your business and brand with the benefit of hindsight.
Well, now I think I have the clarity and the confidence to speak about what I do and who I best serve. I'm also laser focused when it comes to my online presence in terms of where I show up and also what messages I need to convey. This means I'm way more visible online. It's been a no-brainer for me to invest and delegate the creation of my regular email, newsletter, and social media to make sure that I'm showing up more consistently with that laser focus.
So you see, Michelle was able to formalize and discover the bits that she knew were missing from her brand. With this uncovered information and logical strategic layer applied, she now feels more confident in implementing a more exacting creative direction to her brand with the focus that she is so well known for providing to all of her clients. You can apply to the next round of my On Her Terms branding program by visiting laurapearman.com/on-her-terms-apply. Here, you'll be able to learn more about exactly how this program works, as well as begin the application process to join the next cohort. Michelle, why would you recommend this brand program to other people who are similar to you or who were in a similar position as you before you started the program?
Right. Well, I know that Laura is an expert when it comes to branding, and I'm not a creative person at all. It doesn't sit in my comfort zone or my zone of genius. So I knew that she would push me outside of my comfort zone and really force me to answer the tough questions as part of this program to nail my creative direction and brand. And then I really loved and appreciated the Slack support and the monthly coaching calls, because I was able to quickly overcome any hurdles, blockages, get any questions answered that I had as I was completing each of the modules as I went through the program. It meant that I could quickly get the answers I needed and, get each module completed. And finally, as I mentioned, I've invested and delegated my email and social media since completing the program. And the suppliers have told me that they absolutely love the brand guidelines document, as it gives them such a specific creative direction to work from.
And how can people find out more about you?
Well, thanks so much for asking. The best place to go is to my website to read a blog all about my scaling success ecosystem, because what this gives you is really quick tips, tools, resources that you can use to help you scale with sanity and focus. So please head to michellelucherini.com/scaling-success-ecosystem.
And where is the best place on social media for people to connect with you, Michelle?
The best place to get to know about me is to connect on LinkedIn.
If you've enjoyed learning about Michelle's COO branding case study with me today, then you are going to want to take a closer look at the Meet My Clients playlist here on Moi TV. This is full to the brim of behind the scenes action, so you can get to meet some of my amazing clients and more of a taste of how I show up. I'll see you next time. Mwah! Now, before you go anywhere, don't forget to subscribe. Mwah!